I'm Jed Doherty. I'm the VP of Platform Strategy here at Dataiku. And today I am supposed to talk to you about how AI and ML unlock insights for financial services teams, but I'm actually not really going to talk about AI or ML. So if you wanted to hear about AI or ML, if you wanted to hear me name algorithms or show code on the screen that you can copy and then replicate, well, you should stick around anyways. But I just wanted to not start you scared. I am going to be talking about how these things show up at financial services, but it's actually the very last stage of sort of a financial services growth in data. So where do they really start? There's a long data journey to getting to actually doing AI, especially at financial organizations. Normally when I come into a financial org, they don't even want me to say the words machine learning. Well, maybe a few of the data scientists do in one of the little areas. They're excited about it, but the main organization, the organization part that's interested in business transformation, does not want me to talk about that yet. They just want to figure out how they can talk to their 30 different disparate data sources across their wealth management team, whatever that might be. I actually had one CTO at a major investment bank tell me, please don't call Dataiku a data science platform internally. Don't ever say that. Even though I know you guys do it, don't say it, please. Just say it's a data prep and data transformation tool. That's all my team wants to hear. And that's really where a lot of folks start. From there, once we're able to get data from all these different disparate data sources and we can start putting them into a single place, start looking at them together, then we're able to start empowering analysts, yes, data scientists also, and data engineers to begin working together and understanding exactly what data is out there and how to get it to people as quickly as possible. And then finally, that last step that many, many financial organizations are only dreaming about in a real business transformational way is the move to prediction. Once we're actually predicting new insights with the existing data we have, that means we need to be sure of our data, we need to be able to make sure that our data is constantly being updated, and we need to be able to understand it across our institution, and finally we need to make sure that we trust the data that we're putting in. So even before we get to prediction, why should we bother going down this really long road to prediction if it's going to be such a long time? Well, I was just at there's a CTO Tech Summit thing, which is like basically where you show up in Menlo Park and you worship at the feet of the CTOs of the various banks. So I was at one of these worshiping, as one does, a few weeks ago, and it was Bank of America, and they said they had 60,000 technologists in their organization. And I said, what is a technologist? And they didn't answer me, but probably it's anyone with a laptop. But the point is, the proportion of folks at a financial organization that is potentially working with data is probably among the highest ratios of any industry out there. You've got financial analysts, obviously, data reconciliation, P&L modeling, P2P process management, budget building, forecasting, cash allocation, regulatory report production. We have a client, FINRA, that's like all they do is just regulatory reports. That's their whole existence. They're very anal. I hope you're out there. We love you guys. Financial audit readiness, etc. This means that everywhere across a bank is both generating and collecting massive amounts of data all the time. Basically, everything they're doing is both generating and a collection action. There's a lot of organizations where they start with a data science team, and they realize that data science team can pretty much answer any question that anyone in that bank has for them on an individual basis. So no matter who you are, no matter where you're at, maybe you finally have the data together where if I ask this really smart fella over here, he's going to have the answer to my question, or she's going to have the answer to my question. But there are just simply so many data questions at a big organization that you cannot rely on your small team of data scientists to answer all of them. This means you need to start upskilling the rest of your organization, the rest of your data organization, to start being able to do stuff with this data. There's just simply too many questions, and you can't have one little team being the answerers. They can be the people who manage those questions. They could be the people who help train the individuals across the organization to answer those questions, but they are not going to be the ones to answer every one of those questions. They can answer the moonshot ones. Let's let everybody else do the regular questions. Being able to provide an analytics tool to a large percentage of your organization also really helps with team retention because people feel like they're learning more in their job. If I came on as a data analyst and I am sure that all I will ever get to use is Excel, and I'm never going to learn Python, I'm never even going to learn what AI or machine learning is, I might feel like I want to go somewhere else. I want to go to a tech organization instead of staying in a financial organization. So providing tools that open up the capabilities of your regular analysts ends up being a great team retention and team strengthening opportunity. So I've kind of set myself up. I got to tee myself off here. Where does Dataiku step in? What is our tool? What do we do? Dataiku, at least at big financial organizations, yes, we do a whole bunch of AI and ML stuff, but when I talk to them pretty simply. We're going to stitch your data together. Well, we're going to help you stitch your data together by providing a tool that both analysts and data scientists can use. We're going to be an analytics platform that you can use to productionalize workflows without having to package up some piece of information and send it offshore to be written in Java for 4 months before it comes back, and then you finally have your workflow. And eventually, we're going to be able to help you upskill your teams into building actual AI. As an actual tool, what do we do? That was a bunch of stuff that we do. What do we do as a tool? We do connect to a wide variety of different data sources, both legacy data sources, uploading Excel, CSV files, ERP systems, operational data that might be sitting in any of a million SQL databases, probably some huge data lake. What's up, Databricks, our friends over there, or Snowflake, or any of the other major data lakes. And taking that information, letting you build, using both visual and code-based tools, actionable items coming out of it. Just having data spread all over the place and then having a single place to look at it isn't useful if you're not pushing things out, either into BI tools, into reports, into API services that you can call to get predictions, or into additional evolutions that web applications, cross-sell analytics, all of that sort of nice kind of stuff. We need to be able to actually productionalize the data that we have across our organization. So, have we ever actually done this at a big bank? I named a bunch of big banks, but I didn't name anything good we did with them. Yes, we have. We've done it many times. Too many to count. Well, no, not too many to count, but a lot. Let's talk about Standard Chartered. Standard Chartered is a large bank. They're out of Singapore, I believe. Yeah, I think it's Singapore. That's the folks I always talk to are in Singapore. They came to us with a challenge, and somebody said this to me on the phone. There was no ums, no uhs. They literally just said this two-paragraph block of text, which I'm actually not going to read back to you. But essentially, they felt that their financial analysis pipelines were incredibly clunky, and any modification to that pipeline that they needed to do took weeks. So what does that mean? They were reading a bunch of data in, they had some modification process, and then they were pushing that data into Tableau. There's nothing super crazy there. It's not, there was not even any ML in this entire workflow. It was simply data was sitting in some system that was completely inaccessible to analysts, lots of transformations on it needed to be done, and then analysts needed to be able to look at it. Those transformations were taking 6 months. With Dataiku, we brought them down to a few weeks. They were being maintained by 70 analysts. We managed to bring that down to 14 analysts. And they managed to maintain control over that pipeline. They didn't have to outsource it. They didn't have to push it off to anyone else. They managed to maintain control of it. And the individual analysts, when they noticed something was wrong in that pipeline, were able to easily dive in and fix it. It's kind of stage 0. Let's think of a little higher stage. Aviva is a financial company that does a lot of stuff, mostly insurance, but if you're an insurance company, you have your arms and everything. They came to us with a challenge, specifically their marketing team. They wanted to be able to increase the impact of their cross-sell push activities. To do this, they had data stored all across their organization in lots of different places. Their idea was that they wanted to be able to grab data that the marketing team had collected, that different product teams had collected, that a finance team had collected, and be able to look at it all in the same place. In addition, they wanted to make sure that the different teams who gave up that data were going to be able to look at the pipeline and see how the data was being used, so that they could trust that the overall organization wasn't just stealing their stuff and building something cool with it over here that they weren't going to get any credit for. So by building this entire workflow in Dataiku, these sub-organizations within the larger organization were able to trust each other. And that's something that we really push for. We think that collaboration, especially when you're building data products, data pipelines, data tools, and trust are critical to actually getting things in production in a way where analysts, people who didn't build the AI pipeline themselves will actually believe in and use. Let's look at one more, and this one is maybe the biggest one, the one that has the most potential, and it does start with the E word that I said earlier. Excel. Does anybody else here live in New York? Anybody like go out near Wall Street sometimes and you hear the financial analysts talking about how they have like 50 Excel sheets linked to each other and that's holding up all of like modern banking? And you're like, that's terrifying. Cool. I'm gonna have a drink now. It's not probably that bad, but there is a huge amount of work that is still being done in an incredibly unreproducible and borderline terrifying way in Excel right now across very, very large banking organizations. Excel is a fantastic tool. I actually think Excel is the greatest data tool that's ever been made. I'm not talking badly about Excel. There's just evolutions beyond that when you're trying to productionalize workflows that maybe we all rely on every day. So how can we try to do that? We are trying to convince people who are using Excel to enter a big data world. You're not dealing with a million records anymore. You might be dealing with 1 billion records. You might be dealing with a database. If you talk to Excel guru, they often don't even think in databases or in SQL joins or anything like that. They think in spreadsheets. I have a bunch of different sheets. Maybe they reference each other with a VLOOKUP or something, but they're sheets. So convincing them that it's OK to move into database-type thinking and move into a world in which you write instructions for data prep rather than writing just individual cells. So I want this to happen to all the records of my data versus I want this to happen to this cell of my data. Convincing Excel jockeys that advanced analytics are going to be something that's actually useful for their life. So advanced analytics could be, yes, machine learning, but also advanced charting, statistics, etc. And then finally, that just because you have a spreadsheet that you can look at every day doesn't mean that this spreadsheet is actually reusable by anyone else. And it doesn't mean that somebody else could take this spreadsheet and apply it to a similar but different type of problem. Convincing people that this is OK to move onto and is actually useful for them to do is another heavy step here. And then finally, governance. Instead of having an Excel file, blah, 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 ABC_1_2_final true final.xlsx, sitting in a folder on a shared drive somewhere that's like the core to your business, having a governed data pipelining and AI process is the really only sane way to try to push analytics across your entire organization. Dataiku does, of course, help with this. As I mentioned, we allow people to use their existing skills, whether it's Scala, Python, SQL, R, etc. Use your existing infrastructure while preparing for tomorrow's infrastructure. So lots of the big banks are still sitting on Hadoop, definitely. Hadoop and are maybe just moving into AWS right now. There's a few, Capital One is like pure AWS famously, but a lot of the other big organizations are still just starting that transition. We're going to help them do that by providing access to their on-prem data while at the same time letting them start moving into new technologies. Finally, we're going to extend based on current and future requirements. We will connect to all of your different outside third-party solutions and allow you to evolve with us through our plug-in infrastructure. If you want to do something that we don't do yet, we will help you build that with Dataiku. Thank you so much. I'm Jed. It was a pleasure. Bye, folks.